Hey, it's Spence from LaunchFlows.com. Today's question involves how can I use the page layout capability of LaunchFlows with WPBakery. Now, WPBakery is long in the tooth. It's been around as long as I can remember. And truthfully, you can use it just fine, as I'll show you, but it's kind of like hitching your wagon onto the back of a Tesla compared to how you can do it easier just simply by using native Gutenberg blocks. So if you're comfortable with WPBakery, the answer is yes, you can do it, but as you'll see in a second, you might just choose to use our pre-made patterns in Gutenberg blocks, saving an entire layer. Doesn't mean you have to jettison WPBakery for the rest of your site. It just means for these checkouts and otherwise. So here's the setup. First of all, in WPBakery, there is a feature which is designed to keep it up with the times, I suppose, called the Shortcutmapper. And the Shortcutmapper allows one, if you're going to build custom layouts with the components of LaunchFlows, technically you could map them all instead of having to manually paste in the shortcodes. So for example, I just know a couple of the strings like LF payment, and I can go ahead and parse it and I can give it a description. This is the payment component of WooCommerce. Now I can go through this entire situation and map all of the shortcodes. But as you'll see in a second, maybe redundant. Okay, now how do we make a custom checkout? In LaunchFlows, it's super simple. Once the plugin's installed, we go to Pages, Add New. You can make a checkout out of any post type, pages, posts, even lessons, and so forth. Typically, we put them on pages or posts. Here, it will launch you into the Gutenberg Editor. So let's see, let's call this Sample WPBakery Checkout 2 Ways. It's a lot of title. To make a custom checkout in LaunchFlows, all you need to do is go to the right-hand side. Typically, you'll be here in the Gutenberg Editor and add a checkout to the post. That is all that is necessary to make the actual checkout appear. Now, if you're in a theme, like I'm in Cadence, you can also configure the layout of the width and the other things right here. So if we took a quick preview before we go into WPBakery, we can see that the layout comes out of the box ready to go. Now, I'm encouraging you, even with WPBakery, not to click the WPBakery page builder, but instead just go ahead and use the pre-built patterns either inside of the plugin. So go to LaunchFlows and choose like a 1-column or a 2-column checkout. Just pop the blocks in place and you're done. Or even better, go to patterns.launchflows.com and you can browse through all these custom checkouts that are free, just ready for you to use, right? I want a donation. Just copy the pattern code and go back and do the exact same thing. In other words, let's undo what I just did. Just paste in that custom checkout. That is the easiest way to do it because you're in the native layer of WordPress and WooCommerce and Gutenberg. And even though WPBakery is available for other stuff, you're just being redundant. Okay, how will I do this with WPBakery? Fine, let's do it. Click on WPBakery Page Builder, and essentially you're duplicating what you've already got. Now you're taken back to the old-fashioned classic editor, like a time machine. And now you can decide to do back-end or front-end. Let's just do back-end editing. And here we can add an element. Okay, let's do the same thing. I'm going to add a row, and I can divide this into 2 pieces or 2 columns or whatever I want to do. You know, it's literally like duplicating the same stuff. But what I want to show you is here, notice I've got the My Shortcodes. So here are now the shortcodes. Instead of me having to paste in the HTML syntax, I want to put the billing or the payment at the top. No problem. I just put it at the top. And then I click Update. Now when we see our layout, we'll see that the payment is going to be at the top of the layout. And if I want to preview this, let's just do it over here, Preview Changes. Always be sure to clear your cache. But you see here, ta-da, the payment's at the front. Now, if I want, I can also edit with the WPBakery Page Builder. But remember, if you're doing that on the front end, you're going to have to reload the page after you've updated it. So let's pretend, let's say I'm doing this. You see here, I've got the payment element, right? I can delete that, and I can just do the same thing here, but this time I'll put the billing at the top. And once I load that, it doesn't really appear to necessarily show. So what I want to do is click Update, and then I refresh the page, and then it will show properly. So the billing will go across the whole top here. Now, I don't know if you're picking up on my vibe on this, but basically, by the time you're done with all of this, like moving around and waiting, doesn't it seem kind of silly? Because quite frankly, you could just go back to the beginning and get rid of the page builder that isn't doing you any favors here and just use the native blocks, because the native blocks are almost exactly the same metaphor as what you're doing. You're just using what's already built in, right? So let's just, before I close this off, because I feel like I'm beating a dead horse here, let's remove this. And now let's do the same thing. I want to put the billing at the top. I type billing. Oh, amazing. Super fast. Done. And when I click preview, I accomplish the exact same thing. Okay, so in Gutenberg, I get the same results. See, billing across the top. I get the same results. It takes zero technology effort, zero technological skill. You literally are just putting blocks into place, but now you're doing it at the level of the actual page builder. So that's my suggestion. Yes, you can set yourself up and mix and match with all kinds of stuff if you want using WPBakery. Maybe there's a reason to do that. By the way, the only reason that I can think of that would be interesting, there's an alternative too. They do have a WPBakery Gutenberg block, and this gets just too weird, but like you could take the editor of WordPress and put it into a layout of Bakery and then spit it back out on the page. But I just think that's silly. So hopefully this has enlightened you that we're in a new era and you can enjoy your horse and wagon and do all the things you've done with it, but you can actually complement it with the new features of the Gutenberg native editor and LaunchFlows. Save yourself a heck of a lot of time. One last thing I'm just thinking of. If you want, when you're using the Bakery, you don't have to pre-make all of those shortcodes. You can literally just go to launchflows.com documentation/shortcodes, and you'll see all the shortcodes there. So you can just paste those into either WYSIWYG blocks or into HTML blocks, and avoid having to necessarily, pre-configure those all as shortcodes. This is Spence. I'll see you in the next video.